I would also like to extend a very warm welcome to you, ladies and gentlemen. 5 minutes. 5 minutes of introductory words regarding the expert of the German Crime Prevention Day. Well, the victim is the focus of our 18th German Crime Prevention Day. After lots of decades of focus on the different criminals, we think it is now important to look at the status of the current situation related to the victim protection, the support that they are given, etc. Well, in the 1970s in Germany, the recovery of the victim started, not only in the court proceedings, where the victim has specific is given specific importance now, but the recovery of the victim is shown in other areas of public life as well. That started even earlier and in an even more intense way. Well, in the context of this renaissance of the victim, in my work on that expert opinion, there were mainly two things that were striking. First of all, the fact that we have so little empiric knowledge and findings on victimization, the desires and requests and needs of victims. This is mainly true with regard to most recent findings. And I was astonished to see the discrepancy when we look at the large number of different reform measures with regards to criminal law and with regards to the perpetrators. And on the other hand, the victim situation, the needs of whom are not really covered in the different law proceedings and others, and the burden that needs still to be borne by the victims. That's a discrepancy that cannot be bridged right now, because with regards to the effect and the impact of the Victims Protection Act, we still don't have scientific findings and empirical expertise. But we need these findings in order to understand what the real needs of victims are, and we do not only base everything on assumptions. Blind actionism of the different authorities does not help the victims if the real needs are not targeted and covered. But one thing is clear: victim does not equal victim. There is nothing such as the victim. How to become a victim, how to act as a victim, and how to live with the fact of being a victim, this is all very individual. That is why we need to really put the autonomy of the victim into the center of the different support and assistance schemes, as well as the legal requirements. And another point is quite clear: the victims are not always really the focus with regards to law proceedings and court proceedings. They concentrate on the criminal, on the delinquent, and of course a court proceeding is always a burden for a victim that cannot be avoided, and only a few of those victims get really into the court. So most of the victims are victims of violence, and only 12% of the different investigations against suspects end in a law proceedings, in a court proceeding. So social support, recognition of the fact that the victims have been subject to unjust and unfair treatment, all of that needs to come from outside the criminal law, based on the social environment and by the different organizations in the protection of victims. Here we've developed a very broad range of state and non-state support organizations that make an important contribution to ensure that victims can, as much as possible, return to their lives before the crime happened. Improvements are always possible. That was said by Mr. Marx, may be based on a concept such as parallel justice that was developed for the US by Mr. Hermes and has already been implemented. In the context of our final discussion and the closing session of this Congress, we will take a closer look at that concept. Just a few words on that. The strive for justice for both groups, victims and criminals, need to be unbundled, and the justice for the victim should be given a separate importance. In a special court proceedings, it should be found that, first of all, injustice has been done to the victim. The victim should be protected against being re-victimized, or becoming a victim once more, and eventually assistance should be given to the victim to come to terms with the impact of having been a victim and to restore their individual lives that took place before the crime. But of course, it would always be preferable that no one would be subject or exposed to crime. But whatever we do, whatever type of assistance we provide, it can never really manage to do away with victimization or do away with the crime that was committed and the impact for the victim. Therefore, crime prevention is still the best protection for victims, and the 18th German Crime Prevention Day, the best possibility to look into old and tested as well as new programs and concepts, and to really try and understand how they can be best implemented in the different municipalities by local authorities and other organizations. So I wish you a very interesting 2-day Congress and a lot of success when you return back home for your work at home. Thank you.